Hello and welcome to another Naruto CCG deck concept video. Today I'm doing a concept for a Satoosa Storm or like Five Kage Summit. I'm not really sure what to call this. I've called it the wrong thing in the past and people got mad at me. But the entire concept is basically flooding the field with the Satoosa ninjas. So I think this is a more competitive deck than maybe the others have been, but I really don't know because it's very expensive and I don't want to spend the money to make it proper, and yeah, that's pretty much the only kind of deck I use. So as always, I am going to be using the Untap and Great Ninja Tournaments rogue lists. I will tell you any of the differences that might occur in each of those, but just giving a quick glance, I don't think there are any differences that are going to come up at all. And as always, you can check out the entire deck list down in the description down below, and you can copy it into Untap and use it however you want. These are always more casual videos, so I'm not going to go over every single detail of every single effect, but I'll kind of give you the rundown so you have a general idea of what's going on. So to start off, the Turn 0 ninjas are Gaara Childhood. The main elements of this deck are wind and fire, so you know, you're going to use Gaara Childhood in a wind deck pretty much 100% of the time. But it also goes into a Satoosa in your squads, so that's very helpful. And then I run 3 Hanare. I was going to run 3 Hotaru because she's generally just the better Turn 0 wind ninja. She has growth, she can draw a card, she can get a growth coin. But one, I wanted a little more buildup of chakra because I do use some early chakra abilities and jutsus. And two, Hanare has sort of a higher % chance of drawing a card, which is very important early on in this deck. Hotaru is like a 50-50 if you trust the coin. But Hanare, assuming your opponent didn't totally brick and has no missions, is probably going to be drawing a card. So that's pretty helpful. Then I run 3 Kisuke. He's very good for stalling, and I do have a third, I guess, element in the deck, which is a little bit of lightning. So he helps with that while also being on element with the fire. But the stall is mostly what's helpful out of this guy. He allows you to have another body on the field while you're stalling till like turn 4. And then lastly, to round up my 11 turn zeros that I usually run, I am running 2 Sakura ADP, double personality. Very good for the early game to be able to search out things. So exchanging your hand for a better hand is always good. And especially because you don't want your Satoosas to be in your hand. So if you can dump them back into the deck, that's always beneficial. On the turn 1s, I run 2 Shino because it's very important to get the Fourth Hokage into your chakra area. It's not so important that I want to run 3 of these. I need it on turn 1 exactly, but you do want to be able to get it in there so that you don't have to just hope you draw into it or search it out. So I run 2 of those because he can move a wind or lightning ninja from your chakra or from your deck into your chakra as long as it doesn't have ambush, and Fourth Hokage is both of those. And after you've used it to get the Fourth Hokage, you can use it again to kind of filter out anything you might not want to see after that. But there isn't really a lot that you don't want to see because the game is focused a lot on the early and then a lot on the late. And then running out the turn 1s, I have 2 Temari Wind Scythe, staple wind card. It pairs great with Gaara to squad out into Temari and Gaara squad. And dumping a card out of your opponent's hand, like a Jutsu, is always going to be very helpful for you, especially when one of the main parts of this deck is going to be in the Jutsu section. And I know I haven't really gotten into the strategy of the deck, but it is coming and it's kind of self-explanatory. On turn 2s, I run 1 Konohamaru Ninja Squad, limited to 1 on pretty much every list ever, because it's amazing. It allows you to draw, quote-unquote, a card, which lets you search for your mission that you're looking for. It's also lightning, which is good for the kind of secondary out of 3 elements. It has really good support, and it provides protection for if you need to use your Fourth Hokage's ability and don't want it to be negated by an ability on the field. Also protecting like your Sakura, pretty much just Sakura, Fourth Hokage, and there's like a Naruto. But yeah, it's mostly in here for the draw and the protection. Turn 3s, I run to Naruto Intensity. One of the big downsides is counter missions. You really need your Fourth Hokage to be able to use his teleportation ability. And after your Kages are on the field, you don't want them to be negated. There's kind of just too many of them to run your own counter, like Hina or Pakun or Great Naruto Bridge or something. So just turning it off for everybody is pretty much the way to go. Plus, this also lets you go into squad with the Fourth Hokage, lets you go into Sage Mode Naruto if you want, Hokage Naruto, pretty much whatever you need after that. Then I run to Sai Ink Creation. It lets you paste 2 lightning to boost your turn marker by 1 and give himself a growth coin. That's very helpful because the mission that we're going to be using to facilitate the objective of this deck is a turn 4 mission, which is pretty late by the standards of this game and for missions. So pumping it up even immediately on turn 3 to be able to drop that mission on, quote-unquote turn 3 is going to be very helpful. He also squads out with Sakura into Sai and Sakura squad, which is very powerful because it lets you negate a ninja's effect text. So that's very helpful. And last for turn 3 is I run 1 Obito Stalwart. He's kind of only in here as a win more button. He is dual on element, so that's very helpful if you really, really need the hand cost. But the main reason I put him in here, and only at 1 because it's win more, like I just said, is that when you have your Satoosas on the field, the main strategy of the deck is to remove them from play so that you can put in more Satoosas with this mission. So if Obito can do that without having to use the Fourth Hokage's effect, you could actually put in play multiple Satoosas per turn, which is kind of game-breaking. So then I skip entirely over 4 and 5 to go straight to 6, and I have a lot of 6 pluses. So the first one is the Fourth Hokage, and his ability lets him remove himself from play and then put himself back into play. And this is what is going to be facilitating the strategy of the deck, where the main mission that we're going for here is the Future Hokage, where it's a permanent mission where when a Satoosa ninja you control is removed from play, you can search for another Satoosa and put it in your village. So essentially, every turn that the Fourth Hokage uses his ability, which is almost impossible to stop, you will be able to put in play any other Satoosa in your deck. So you can imagine that this floods insanely well. Every turn, including your opponent's turns, you'll be able to put in play another Satoosa. So this is the main reason that you want to boost your turn marker up to 4 immediately, so you can get that down as fast as possible, but also the reason you want to shuffle your Satoosas back into the deck, because they need to be in the deck to work. They can't work out of the hand, out of the discard, out of the chakra. And the other reason we are using this Fourth Hokage is because it is very synergistic with Special Kunai. As anyone who's ever played against a lightning deck will know, this strategy is very, very popular. Special Kunai lets you remove or put in play a Fourth Hokage from your chakra area, but then remove him from play after that turn. But because the Fourth Hokage lets him remove himself from play and put himself back into play, the game no longer recognizes that it's the same card, so he stays forever. So you can have a Fourth Hokage in play turn 0 if you have the chakra for it, which is very, very good, and allows you to do this on turn 4. You don't have to wait for turn 6 for him to be on the field to do this. So the Fourth Hokage specifically is also very good at this because as opposed to like the Flashpoint version, which you could try to use later in the game, his removal from play is cost. So your opponent can't respond to it because him being removed from play happens as you're putting the effect on the chain. So he's not there to be responded to, which is kind of insanely broken. So the second he declares that he is being removed from play, you get to put in play another Satoosa ninja, which is very, very powerful. So moving on from him, the next Satoosa I have is the Third Hokage, Fire Shadow. One of the most powerful Satoosas in the game. When he's opposed, you can put a -1/-1 on every ninja that is opposing him, discard 2 of your opponent's chakra, and if you win a victory, you get a battle reward. So, like, just going against this guy, you're already at a -3 probably, which is insane. He's also on element, except for his water. He has fire and lightning, which is very good. But this guy's very, very difficult to go up against, especially if you're on like turn 3 facing him. Then I have a 6th Hokage. He's on element with fire and wind, but he's mostly here to protect the other Kage because you can pay 2 chakra to move every ninja with an entrance cost less than him to standby, which, as I've said, is probably going to be everything your opponent has because he's going to be out earlier than turn 6. He's probably going to be out turn 4 or 5, so your opponent will have no way to get anything close to what he has conventionally. Next, 5th Kazekage. Keep in mind that you can't use it with Gaara Childhood or if you have the Temari Gaara squad on the field, obviously. But he's an incredibly powerful defensive tool. Your other ninjas can't be the target of your opponent's ninja effects, which already couples with Konohamaru's Ninja Squad insanely well. But also you can pay 1 chakra to negate any jutsu happening and then give yourself back chakra that jutsu costs, which is insane. If Kazekage is on the field, your opponent basically can't use jutsus because not only are you able to essentially freely negate one of them, but also it gives you more chakra back to negate the rest of them or just blow up whoever's using another jutsu. So having this guy on the field is stupid good. Next, I have 4th Raikage. He's one of the most offensive Satoosas in the game. For 2 chakra, he can give himself +5 to become a 14-1. And then that's while he's by himself, but he doesn't really need to be with anybody else when he can do that. And the support of every ninja becomes 0, so your opponent can't beat this guy. They have to have a ninja that's equally 14 in the front or have a jutsu that can negate him, which with 6th Kazekage or 5th Kazekage is, a moot point. And then you just get to draw a card, so he's crazy. Dual on element with lightning and wind also, just like Kazekage. Next, a 3rd Tsuchikage, very defensive as well. The goal is basically to get them down on the field and then let them protect each other because their high numbers are going to mean your opponent can't really do anything, and their effects mean that they're going to be winning anyway. So you don't really need a bunch of Raikage level attackers because your opponent's 3 turns behind at that point. You don't really need to boost yourself that much. But 3rd Tsuchikage protects your ninjas that have the same symbol as he does, which is pretty much all of your Satoosas in the game except for the final 2. But then you can pay 1 chakra when they're targeted by a jutsu, and you can negate and move that jutsu to the top of their deck. And the user becomes a standby. So just more protection. If he and the Kazekage are down on the field together, your opponent's screwed. 5 support is insane, and he is dual on element, just like pretty much everybody else. Onto the Void, turn 6 Satoosas. I run 1 second Tsuchikage. He is Satoosa, and you do have to pay your sacrifice even though he's being put in play by a mission effect, because the sacrifice cost is still the cost to be put in play, even if the hand cost does not apply. So you will have to sacrifice, which, is fine. He's not the best one to put in play. He's kind of a win button because your opponent can't block him with a team that has a ninja with less entrance cost than him, which, as I was talking about before, is probably everybody because he's going to be in very early. So your opponent can't really respond to this, and it's just going to win you 2 battle rewards until they can. And last, I run 1 Pain Deva Path. This is the Sage's student. Once again, he has a sacrifice, so keep that in your mind. You get to pay 0 to look at a player's hand, yourself or your opponent, and then you can move 1 card from their hand to the bottom of their deck. And then if it's you get to draw a card. So this is very good. If you need something in your hand, I don't know what you could possibly need if you've gotten him on the field with your Fourth Hokage, but you can just use him to draw. But more importantly, you can look at your opponent's hand and just dump something you don't want to deal with every single turn, which is basically just Temari Wind Scythe, but better. So let's say he comes in on turn 3 because you've gotten God Hand and you're just destroying this game. Your opponent loses because every one of your turns you can just dump the next ninja he's going to be able to put in play into the bottom of his deck. So he's basically just going to have to draw into exactly what he needs, and good luck with that while you're facing an 8-4 Satoosa on your opponent's side of the field. So then we've got the Jutsus. I run 1 Tsuchigumo Big Bang, one of the best jutsus in the game in my opinion. Draw 2, get chakra, and basically filter it and another card out of your hand. Dual on element with the wind and lightning, which is very good. 3 special kunai that I already talked about. And a good strategy with this is that you might be thinking, well, I don't have a lot of lightning in this deck, so you kind of have to get lucky with the chakra for this. But that's not really true, because Shino can dump your Fourth Hokage into the chakra, which is the entire point of him. You want Fourth Hokage in the chakra to be able to put in play by Special Kunai. And Special Kunai can use Fourth Hokage as its cost. So Fourth Hokage can be the lightning cost because it's not targeting the Fourth Hokage in your chakra. It's making it, you are selecting a Fourth Hokage in your chakra or discard after the card's effect is being applied. Because it's not targeting one, the Fourth Hokage can move from chakra to your discard. So as long as you have dumped your Fourth Hokage into the chakra with Shino, your lightning cost for Special Kunai has been paid. So that's a very good interaction. You really don't need the lightning chakra at all. Next, I run 3 wind-style vacuum bullets, 2 wind, which is why I use mainly wind, kind of essentially just for this jutsu. It's incredibly good. Entrance cost of 3 or more. You can target a opposing ninja, make them standby, and then if you are Satoosa, you get to give them a damage, and every time you get to injure them if they're less cost than you. So basically, you have your Fourth Hokage down. They're on turn 3. You're on turn 3, and you've got a turn 6 or whatever. He can use vacuum bullets to just kill a ninja for 2 chakra, which is very, very good. And obviously usable by pretty much all the back half of your ninjas in this game. Next, 2 Gale-style laser Circus. Dual on element, and lets you use 2 of those elements as cost, which is very good. It can snipe to injure, it can give 1 damage to an opposing ninja, and you can make it immune to targeting effects, which is very good. Mostly it's in here for the elements and because it can use the chakra that you might be wasting by, if you have lightning chakra that you're not using. But it's still very good jutsu. On the missions, I run 3 just like Drifting Clouds. Just like Sakura, it allows you to swap out your hand, which is very good in the early game. And draw a card up to 2 times because it lasts for 2 turns. So that's pretty much the main use of that, just to search out early. I also ran it in here because I needed more fire cost, because as you can see, there isn't a huge amount of fire in this deck. I have the 3 Kisukes, the 1 Obito, a couple of the Kages here, and then your 3 Clouds, and that's pretty much it. So you might need to be a little sparing with your hand costs because your future Hokage does need a fire cost. So having 3 of these is just a little bit helpful with that. Then I run 3 Bonds of Friendship, mostly for the dual element, but also because it's just a very good mission. You get to draw 2 cards and move 1 from your hand to your chakra. So just like Hanare, I like having the chakra aspect because 1, you might need some chakra early for Special Kunai or Vacuum Bullets if you've pulled off your Special Kunai already. But also, if you happen to have your Fourth Hokage in hand and you don't want to use it for hand cost, then it's very good to use Hanare or Bonds of Friendship to dump it as, the downside of those effects, which is just a nice little boon. It also gives you a growth coin on your sand or leaf ninjas, which you do actually have a lot of. Gaara, Kisuke, Sakura, Shino, Temari, KNS, Naruto, Sai, Obito, 4th, 3rd, 6th, and Kazekage. They can all get the growth coin, which is very helpful. It's kind of just a win more button at that point if you don't want to use it for chakra, because, if you have 3rd Hokage out, they're -1s already. He doesn't need to be 7. It's fine. But just very helpful. You could swap this out for monster research I've had in previous iterations. But I did want the wind chakra specifically because of vacuum bullets. So that's why I ran 3 of these. And then I run 2 a gift. Objectively, not the best draw mission in the game. You are drawing 3, which is very good, but you do have to move 1 from your hand to bottom of your deck. But that is very beneficial sometimes because you might be holding onto Satoosas in your hand, which you absolutely do not want. But you might not want to shuffle your whole hand out of into your deck, like with just Drifting Clouds or Sakura. So being able to just dump, for example, your 4th Raikage to the bottom of your deck as the detriment to this card is very helpful, because then that turn, you might be able to use your teleportation Fourth Hokage and bring your Raikage back from the bottom of the deck. So very helpful. And the last card in the deck is 3, the Future Hokage. As we talked about, when a Satoosa is removed from play, you can put a Satoosa in play from your deck. The entire point of the deck, and it is mandatory at 3. You need to see this not incredibly early, which is why I don't run a lot of search for him. Like, I used to run 3 of the Kiba Kinos to search it out. But turn 4, or maybe 3 with Sai, you'll have plenty of time to either swap into it with Clouds or Sakura, or just draw into it because you have a lot of draw power and you have like 3 whole turns to do it. So that's the main content of the deck, and it works pretty well. It's pretty consistent for being like, you know, half turn 3s and then half turn 6s. You wouldn't think it would work that well, but it kind of does. So then the extra deck, the reinforcement deck, squad deck, whatever you want to call it, I just have a lot of supports, but it is more important than you'd think it is. A lot of my decks have just kind of filler because there aren't a lot of combos you can do. But this one doesn't really have much filler. So I run 3 Sakura Sai because it's very good at disrupting your opponent. You can negate one of their ninjas and then make them attack. So, you know, you could negate a very good effect that they have, like a Naruto effect or something. But you can also make a ninja that doesn't want to battle have to battle you. So that's very good. I run 1 Danzo, which is the most filler that I have, but it is possible to come in handy because Future Hokage doesn't just proc off of the Fourth Hokage teleporting. It is initially intended to be when like a Satoosa dies. So if you use your Danzo to sacrifice your 6th Hokage, then you get to put in play another Satoosa from your deck. Like if your 6th Hokage is injured or something and pretty much useless at that point, you can dump him to get another Satoosa. You can also dump your Obito if you just need a bigger body on the field, but be careful, obviously he is named Danzo, so you can't really use both of these. But like if your Obito has been used and you just need a big body, you can do that. He would have 3 growth coins on him, and that's just helpful in that way. There really only are 2 targets, so, you know, don't use as many as you need because it's not that worth it. And then 3, Gaara Temari, the best squad in the game, potentially one of the best cards in the game. You get to dump your opponent's hand and lower the costs of their ninjas on the field, which you wouldn't think is extremely bad for them. But like, for example, Sage Mode, if they have it, your opponent's Narutos are no longer entrance cost of 3 or more. They are 1 if there were turn 3. So they're not going to be able to use Sage Mode. They're not going to be able to use like State 2 Sasuke's or something. So it's actually more detrimental than you'd think, not just out of like hydro pumps and stuff. Obviously, this is also a Satoosa, so if it is killed, you get your Future Hokage to boon off of it. But it also does have Mastery, which is very important because you can use your wind bullets as much as you want. Then I run 1 Naruto Aspirations. It is a Satoosa, so once again, if it dies, you get to proc Future Hokage. But it's also just very good because you can pay Chakra to put in play any of your Leaf, which, you know, probably KNS, maybe Sakura, maybe Kisuke, maybe Sai, maybe Obito. But limited to 1 on all the lists, and it's just very good to have a 1 out of. And then I run 3 Naruto and Fourth Hokage. This is kind of just a board wipe option. It's not really going to come up very much, but it is a Satoosa, and, you know, it's cheap to buy, so whatever. But it can give damage to your opponent's ninjas if you need to kind of wipe them, and then maybe you get rid of him to, I don't know, do something else with another Satoosa. Basically, it's a Satoosa in your squad, so might as well use it. 2 Naruto Sage Mode, probably the best card in the game, but if you go into Sage Mode, you can use your Jutsus essentially for free. You can use your ninja abilities essentially for free, so you're pretty set at that point. And last, Deva Path and Itachi. You could use this as a sacrifice for Danzo if you want to do some weird convoluted thing, but you can do this just off of Deva Path. You don't need the Itachi. And it lets you draw a card on certain turns and move turn marker down on certain other turns. So it's pretty good to have just as a last resort kind of thing. Also has Mastery, so, you know, same things with the vacuum bullets and everything. But that is the entirety of the deck. So just keep in mind that it's not super tested. I've gone through many iterations of this. So I'm definitely looking for feedback. One option I think is fair is to have monster researches. Like I said, I've ran lightning exclusive versions with like Messenger Ninja, just kind of waiting. I've ran fire versions. And I think you could run maybe particle style in this, but you would probably need more earth, and it's already kind of strapped for elements because you need Fourth Hokage with the lightning, you need fire for the future Hokage. You don't need wind. I did that mostly for vacuum bullets, but you would need earth for a particle style. But yeah, that's the deck. Like I said, give me any tips, any ideas that you have. Let me know if you like the deck. This is another one of the concepts that I've had for a while. So if you like these concepts, let me know down below. Subscribe for more if you want. And I have more deck profiles coming out also, as well as more of the tier list videos. So stick around for that, and I will see you next time. Bye.